In 1989, Gabrielle Lavelle reported the leader of the Anthill Kids, Roch Thériault, to local authorities for assault, the proof of which were her missing arm, which had been forcibly amputated, the fact that she was missing 8 teeth, which again were forcibly removed, and a missing finger that had been removed with wire cutters after her first failed escape attempt. Who or what were the Anthill Kids, and who was Roch Thériault? Welcome all in to the MO Dark. Hello and welcome all into the MO Podcast Dark Edition, and you're here with me as always, Consummation,
and me, Atreya.
And today we're going to be doing something, well, dark, obviously. We're going to be talking about the Anthill Kids.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to save this for a later episode when I was old and senile.
No.
And I couldn't remember about it.
No. This is why we're doing it on a Friday evening and we both have drinks, because these episodes are rotten.
Yeah, he literally said to me, make sure you have lots of alcohol.
Yes, we have.
So I knew it was going to be bad, but...
Yes.
Okay.
So, as you may know, we're doing the dark episodes, and these are something that we can't cover on the lighter channels. I know we've talked about it before, but we're going to be covering Fritzl, Fred West, Anthill Kids.
Fred West?
Yeah.
Is Fred West dark enough for dark?
Oh, that's what I thought.
Wait, do you know stuff about Fred West I don't know?
He was a wrong'un.
I mean, I know he was a wrong'un, that goes without saying, but...
Oh, the things he did.
I mean, I've read the books.
Yeah,
Is there something I don't know?
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I don't think we can get away with talking about child abuse on the main.
I think we can. Personally, I think Fred is softcore in comparison to the shit that you've been sending me on fucking Discord.
Okay, that makes me come out bad on that one, but anyway, so...
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've been traumatized by some of the shit he sent me.
I've had to research all this. You've just seen the fucking cliff notes.
You haven't had to research it. This was your idea. This is like somebody that self-flagellates, okay? I'm just saying.
I mean, I do that as well, but...
I'm not surprised.
Like, when it's dark and the lights are out, but...
Jesus wouldn't condone it, is all I'm saying, okay?
Well, I suppose, yes, he wouldn't condone this either, so...
But he would condone this.
Yes, cheers. Water into wine. Cheers.
If he could top me up right now, that'd be fucking great.
So, not gonna...
I'm gonna need it.
Fall for that one. So, the Anthill Kids. Now, these are definitely not to be confused with the Anthill Mob from Wacky Races, because this was a cult which was a little bit different than them crazy half-pint fake mobsters.
How dare you?
So, like all cultists, this was led by someone who thought he was the next messiah. He really wasn't. He had a lot of issues, and his name was Roch Thériault.
Was that his real name?
Apparently, yes. Why?
I don't know. I just feel like his name was Barry Kett or something boring like that. Sorry to anyone who's called Barry Kett. But...
No, he's Canadian French. So.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So
say no more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
exactly.
we'll give him that. Yeah.
Now, Roch was born into Catholicism in 1947, and he later converted to the Seventh Day Adventist church. Now, you just have to really think about it when they actually thought he was so mad they kicked him out of his church. Because although we have made our points of view very well known about religion, the Seventh-day Adventists are fucking mental. Some of their alumni include David Koresh. So, and he wasn't actually kicked out the church. So, the Branch Davidians is still kind of considered part of the Seventh-day Adventists. So,
I still feel it kind of could have been worse. Like, it could have been David Icke.
yeah, no, I don't think any church is touching him with a barge pole, to be quite honest with you.
You see, it could have been so much worse.
So, Thériault was deemed as being quite intelligent, but he dropped out of school at the age of 13. Now, he kind of lived his life by their rhetoric, which was they preach living a healthy lifestyle and drinking and smoking is banned. So at first, Roch was full on with this and he didn't do that. But as time progressed, he thought because he was the next Messiah, it didn't matter to him. And by the later years of his self, he developed a drinking problem. So he followed these tenements to the letter. So by the mid-70s, the Seventh-day Adventists had enough of Thériault's bullshit and they booted him out of the church. He did try and make a power play. That's probably pissed him off a little bit and take over the leadership. And maybe if that didn't do it, he'd actually given him the nickname of Moses. So...
it's destined to fail when you give yourself the nickname.
Yeah, no one was like... Do you know who Moses is? Who's that? Thériault. Oh, he's gone by Moses now. That's a cool nickname. Who gave him that? Himself. Fucking loser.
Like the football shirts with Moses written on the back. Moses.
Yeah.
Number one. Yeah.
So, he was kicked out of the church and somehow he managed to talk in a handful of people to follow him and set up a encampment. Now, the reason he did this is he kind of turned to these people and said, everyone is against you. They don't want you to believe in what we believe in. And what you need to do is you need to give me all your money and disown your family.
Ugh, that old cliche.
Yeah. But apparently, seven adults and 3 children actually decided to do this. They went, no, that's a great idea. We'll sell everything, give you all the money, and follow you to the ends of the earth. And they moved to Quebec in 1977. Now, on the basis of this was they were going to set up a compound where they could live free of corruption and sin, and where they would all be equal and they could discuss like-minded views. But I think Roch Thériault thought about the kind of Animal Farm, Everyone is Equal, not the 80s VHS, the book by George Orwell, where all animals are equal, but some are just more equal than others, and he put himself above everyone else. Now, maybe it was the isolation, because they were living in the arse end of nowhere. It was a barren land, and they just had this kind of shack and a few places to live. Or maybe it was because he was mental. But he told his followers that God had told him that the world would end in 1979. and they would have to move to the Eternal Mountain. Now, this was a sparsely populated area in the Gas Peninsula, because when the whole world ended, that little speck of land would be fine and dandy. God had deemed this place. Even though the whole world has ended, this little speck of land would be fine.
And they didn't think at all that any resources would run out on this little speck of land, or...
Well, it's interesting you say that, because this is where the name the Anthill Kids came from. Because while they were in the Gas Peninsula on Eternal Mountain, just as Thériault was just chilling and relaxing, he named his congregation the Anthill Kids because they worked like ants. He made them work like ants. He'd be chilling and relaxing, but he'd be watching them and making sure they were A, collecting resources, B, making things that they could sell in the town, C, collecting harvests. But he'd be there with his wine in the cabin watching them.
This sounds like Harvest Moon. I kind of think it sounds quite nice.
I mean, yeah, but they had to work. If you're through, it's quite nice.
Stroke the sheep, shear the sheep, make them go yay with those little faces, and then make the wool into yarn. Put the yarn in the shipping box, sell it, and then let's all go down the tavern on a night. This is like Harvest Moon on the GameCube. It sounds lovely so far.
So far, yeah.
Change my mind.
Well, okay, here we go then. By February 1979, when the world amazingly hadn't ended,
Funny that.
the congregation started questioning his methods, and Thériault explained this away in the only way possible. He explained this by saying God had a different timeline. And the 70s God was in a parallel universe, and his time was later, be in the future. It would seem that members of the occult accepted this excuse because they fucking stayed with him.
So they didn't say, wait, aren't you supposed to be in direct contact with God? Did he not give you a little bit of forewarning that he's in a different timeline and that the world's going to end differently? So that he might have given you the heads up. Like, if he's going to tell anybody, it's going to be you, because you're Moses, right?
Exactly. If you've got a phone line to God, it's like I get a text message from O2 when I need to top up. If that was God telling me the world's ending, he texts me saying, "Oh, it's ending in 1979," I'd be like, right, fucking hell. If I miss my top up deadline, they text me again, going, "You've missed it, you dickhead. You're gonna have to start again." Surely God would have texted him and gone, "What are you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, it seems that God isn't real and this was all made up. But
yeah, you reckon?
Yeah, the congregation believed him, and just to make sure he was fully in control of the congregation, Thériault went on to marry all 9 women that were part of his congregation. He would go on to sire more than 20 children.
I guess on the from the women's perspective, right? In the women's defense, maybe they looked at each other and kind of went, "He's a bit of a knob. He's a bit thick, isn't he? He thinks he's trying to pull the wool over our eyes, but what if we all married him? And then that's 9 of us that'll have sway over him by going, I think you should occupy Mexico or none of us will give you sex for 2 weeks." How's that sound?
I mean, possibly, but there was 9 men and 4 men and 9 women in his congregation, and some of these were couples before they got together. So surely one of the men would have stood up and gone, why are you cooking me? I mean, don't like to be cuckolded, mate.
Yeah,
Don't
or
really care about God that much now. Your penis is in my wife.
yeah, but then the wife would be like, I'm gonna get an OnlyFans out of this. Okay, I will make us an absolute mint. Just okay, because legit, right? Legit, Dave is all about that. He's like, you could make so much more money if you just got naked for OnlyFans, and I'm like, I mean, there'd be a niche maybe, and he's like, just do it. And he's all over that. So I feel like men and money and women and loyalty is a totally different thing. Like if men think that they could maybe get extra PlayStations or whatever, I feel like they're quite happy to pimp their wives out. So,
Fair
maybe
play.
they thought, if we can own Vegas, what if I own my own casino? You know what it is, love? Fuck him all you want. Marry him. Marry him twice if you want. If we can have a casino in Vegas, in it for life.
Yeah, and especially when you think if the kingdom of heaven is your only goal and that's going to get you there, then yeah, probably. I'm sure they were.
You just deal with the God repercussions afterwards, don't you?
Yeah, that's the.
You're like, oh, I know God's not going to like this, but I'll be minted while I'm here, so.
But then again, how could God not like it? It is Moses at the end of the day who's
I'm just doing what he told me
stumping
to
your
do.
wife. So
Mm-hmm.
when you're at the pearly gates, you go, he said he was Moses. I mean, he said he had a direct line to you. That's
It's
on
not
you.
my fault. I benefited from it.
You should have actually told me that he was lying. I'm just saying.
You should have told me that wasn't okay. You didn't. I can get struck down by lightning. You didn't say.
Exactly.
So the
Sort your
fact that I
communication
Donald
system
Trumped out. Yeah. I'm sorry. I just made the best of a bad situation. I was hurting. Okay, I was really hurting. And this is how I dealt with it. And it's not my fault that it made me a bajillionaire.
Yep. Yeah. So, it was this marrying all these 9 women was kind of a control move, but it was also in a way to boost party numbers. So the more people he had following him, because he had 20 more kids now by these 9 women, so he thought he could control all these people. But a lot of them were like under the age of 5, so didn't know what the fuck was going on. But that's by the by.
They might have grown up and had their own ideas. They could have formed a 5-year-old snowflake community, couldn't they? Where they'd be like, I don't think this guy's legit. We should, go away and be our own people.
No, because then that brings into the question of free will, doesn't it? They didn't have free will because they were being controlled from the top. And then if all these people were under that yoke of, they would have been taught one way and this is the way. If you don't have outside contact, you can't develop your own
own opinions. Okay, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. I guess I should start my own community.
I'd love to be a cult leader. Be fucking brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And there are idiots out there that would listen to us. I know I've just said that on a podcast that we do, and we do have a few followers.
Yeah, no.
So that wasn't aimed at any of them people.
He doesn't mean idiots that would listen to our podcast. He means idiots that would take us for gods, that would go, oh my god, I should worship you. Everything you say is right. Which, I'm not gonna lie, right? We do speak the truth, the God honest truth, right? However, you could get this from an alcohol-induced bloke at any pub. It's important that you know that we're not selling anything here. This is the same information you could get off any boomer in a pub. Okay?
Yeah.
However,
I've been that boomer in a pub.
You're not a boomer.
Moving on.
Gen Y.
I don't know what I've got. I mean, I've not been to the doctors for ages. So by the 80s, the cult was numbering people in the 40s. Now, I think there was 43 people in this cult. Obviously, a lot of them were children, and they didn't have a say in what went on, and they didn't know any better. Like we said, They didn't have any opinion, only the opinion that they were taught. But this is where all the rank stuff starts. So, in 1981, 2-year-old Samuel Guller was having trouble peeing. Thériault thought the solution to this was to slice his penis open. Samuel took exception to this, as you would, and as a 2-year-old he expressed himself in the way that only he could. And he cried. And he cried. And he cried. Guy Vere was ordered to beat the poor child until he stopped crying. And unfortunately he did. Because he died from his injuries.
I knew I would hate this.
Yeah. Now, for this misdemeanor, Vere was punished. He was castrated by Thériault and ordered his followers to tell anyone that asked about his injuries that he was stampeded by a horse. Right in the groin. Yeah. I think this shows how deluded he is, that he could actually...
It's the least imaginative person I've ever heard of in my life.
That he could come up with that excuse and go, normals are going to believe this. Got it. Bang on.
Right. So if you found somebody that was castrated that shouldn't have been, like, my first thought would be, oh wow, he slept with some guy's wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, or he cheated on on his wife. His wife did this, or his lover's husband did this. Yeah. Is that not a logical answer?
Yeah. In fairness, this is the 80s in Canada.
If he'd been stampeded by a horse, he wouldn't be alive.
Yeah. And that's a very specific place to get stampeded on.
That's what I mean, without being on anything else. That's what I mean, yeah.
It's got four legs. Surely another lucky shot would have got him somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it castrated
him. He's
like
galloping past. The horse is galloping past, and it's just like, boop, really hard in the groin, and then carries on galloping. Like, no, what the fuck? There's so many logical explanations that you could have used. You fucking idiot.
Sheared off in one. But this is how far he was gone.
Could have been even like he was high on Ket and he snipped it off because he felt like it because he was high.
Or he was getting a very, very nasty blowjob, teethy blowjob, and it went.
Or he was shaving and made a terrible mistake.
Just had
he was manscaping.
Arm spasms.
Yep.
And whoop.
He was manscaping and it went horribly fucking wrong.
Yep.
Yes, that is the horse thing is a terrible excuse. The dog ate my homework. It's that kind of one.
Exactly. It's on that fucking level.
Yeah.
I mean, the good news after this is the cult was raided by the police, and Samuel, the child's body, was found after it had been partially burned in the back, just to try and dispose of the body.
Which, as we know, takes over 3,000.
Exactly, and so they didn't really do a good job of that. Not that you should actually try and do a good job of disposing of a 2-year-old's body, but
that poor kid.
8 people, including Thériault, were arrested, and a lot of the children were taken away to be put into care. Now, unfortunately, all the 8 people that were arrested were freed with no charges, and they moved on out of Quebec and established another commune in Ontario. Now, this is where Thériault gets a little bit more godlike and crazy, one would say. He was drinking heavily at this point, and any deviations from his orders were dealt with very harshly. Now, whether this was done and he witnessed it, or whether he thought the cult had actually disobeyed his orders, he would act on it. He took it to such a level that he forbade any of his followers from speaking to each other without him being present, and he would go so far as to sneak up on his followers and listen in on their conversations. Now, bearing in mind there's no CCTVs at this point and no spying equipment, he must have just been, like, at the corner of the fucking door like that.
Through the keyhole.
Yeah. So,
drilling holes in the wall, like.
Yeah. He was just, like, listening with glasses at walls and fucking
That's
keyholes.
paranoia grade A.
Exactly. So any indiscretion was punished, and Theo would use belts to beat people. He quickly upgraded to hammers and the flat side of axes. Now, when he found someone disobeying him, whether again it was perceived or whether they had actually done it, he told them to prove their loyalty by breaking their own legs with sledgehammers, shooting each other, sitting on lit stoves, and they were forced to cut off appendages, fingers and toes with wire cutters.
I'm trying to think of which of those, like, if he said to me, like, you've got to prove your loyalty by doing any one of these, and I was a pussy enough to say, sure, I'll do anything. I was trying to think of, like, which I feel like it would have to be the sledgehammer, just like fucking go for it, just like, because I could not cut my own finger off or my toe off or something.
Oh, I could. Oh, that'd be the one for me. Yeah.
You could cut your own finger off with a wire cutter.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, no. No, it would have to be a sledgehammer for me. It would have to be. Oh god, no.
I wouldn't sit on a stove. That's fucking stupid.
That's nuts. Yeah, that is absolutely nuts. Yeah.
But then, let's just bear in mind that there were still some children left within this cult, so maybe they didn't have a choice of being placed on a stove or not. Anyway, so in 1987, one of his followers left her newborn child out in the cold Canadian night to escape the horror of living in the compound. Now, there was a blizzard that night and the baby died. Whether it escaped a fate worse than death, we can only surmise. But this is why the child was placed outside, because the mother didn't want, after witnessing what she had witnessed, she didn't want that child being brought up in this life. And this was one of Thériault's children, so whether it was consensual after everything he's doing, because he has forcibly married nine women, that's the thing as well. So it's such a horrible situation to be in, that kind of thing where you think it's better that your child is going to die before it's even began its life than going through that horror.
I mean, yeah, it probably is.
Yeah. Again, this instigated a police investigation, and 14 children got removed from the compound again. And unfortunately, as the children were removed, Thériault began to get more violent with the adults that were there. He believed that he had now gained, somehow, without doing any classes, the skills of surgery and necromancy.
Oh, God.
In September of 1988, Solange Ballard complained of a poorly tummy. Rather than go to the local fucking Boots or anything and get some Pepto-Bismol, she was put on the kitchen table and Thériault punched her in the stomach and then had an enema performed on her that contained molasses, which is syrup.
What the fuck did he think that was going to do?
Yeah. And olive oil.
Both of which is just going to worsen everything that's in your stomach.
Yeah, because when I last looked, an enema had, like, fluid that actually moves at quite a high rate.
Yeah.
Molasses, although it
Very syrupy.
did kill quite a lot of people in Boston that time.
It did, yeah.
It didn't move as fast.
No, it's a very syrupy, slow-moving kind of thing.
Yeah. So when this didn't magically heal her, he made an incision in her abdomen, pulled out sections of her intestines, and pushed the rest back inside. Now, Solange was sewed back up and lived in extreme pain for the next 24 hours.
I can't think why.
Yeah. She did pass away. And then...
I reckon.
Yeah, but then this is where Thériault went off at the deep end and told his followers that he could resurrect Solange. And he ordered part of her skull to be sewn off, ejaculated into her brain, and when this didn't raise her from the dead, he told his followers to bury her outside.
Right, okay. So,
lot to unpack there, really.
right, okay. I have so many questions.
I can't answer them.
Okay. So my first question is, what did you think about when he was like wanking off into her skull? Like, how did he keep that up?
In front of people.
In front of people.
On the kitchen table.
Yeah, unless he was necrophiliac.
He was a lot of things, so...
He was a twat, at the very least of all things. Okay, and the second is, I don't know why anybody that was with him, but like, so even the adults that were with him that had experienced life before this, right, decided, and bear in mind, molasses is, I mean, I guess what now it's called black syrup. Is it Tate and Lyle black syrup?
Yeah.
Yeah, most people would be like, yeah, no, that's specifically for sticky toffee pudding. I don't know if that should be something that goes into your bowels. I don't know that that's necessarily the best thing, and I don't think that that's what doctors the world over. Even I don't think like even acupuncture, acupressure, like the Chinese therapy, I don't think that they use this sort of shit either. Like, I think that this is just something that you've just made fucking up, because this don't sound like anything anyone would recommend at all.
Yeah.
Maybe Dr. fucking Disrespect would recommend this, but not Dr. Phil, okay?
Exactly. I mean, these people had a life before this.
Yeah, so that's what I'm having a problem with.
They had been to the doctors.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them had operations, I don't know. Or they've had family members who had operations. Even I'm not saying you need to go to medical school for 7 years and do fucking your residency and whatnot, but even I know jizzing into your skull will not resurrect you from the dead.
It's just going to make for a really messy casket.
It's just going to
I mean, she might have had appendicitis, which, you know, filling her full of molasses and then stuffing her insides back in is not going to fix anything. You know?
She could have just had the shits.
She could have.
And she just happened to mention, oh, I've got a poorly tummy. And he went, get on the kitchen table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll deal with this. Yeah. No.
Yeah. So, a month later, after Solange's death, one of the followers called Gabrielle. So this is Gabrielle Laval. She complained. Oh my god. She complained of having toothache. Now, I think, again, this was just in passing conversation, just, you know, oh bloody hell. I think that popcorn that we had last night, I think I bit into a kernel rather than, you know, a seed rather than the thing. And I
ate a Kit Kat, and I think there was a bit tinfoil in there, like going, and I went, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, Thériault's fucking solution to this was to pull out 8 of her teeth. Don't know why. I mean, to be honest with you, I kind of know why. He wasn't a surgeon, so I think he failed dentistry straight away. But 6 months later, so we pulled out 8 of her teeth, and then 6 months later, she complained of a stiff hand. Now, not victim blaming, but did she not learn? Thériault cut off her hand.
Got a really bad hand. I know what's wrong with it.
Exactly. I'm amazed she could make conversation at this point, but 6 months later. 6 months later, when she complained of a stiff hand, Thériault amputated her arm with a meat cleaver.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
She might have had RSI. Give her a sling and let her deal with it, you know, like...
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing, you know when you say to little kids when they're like, my hand hurts. Well, shall we chop it off? We'll just chop it off. Do you want to, shall we just chop it off? And they go, no, it's fine. And then they walk off and carry on and crack on with their day.
Yeah.
But that guy just took it too far.
He did. He took it literally rather than like.
Shall we chop it off?
Yeah.
Bring her in here now and tie her down.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this was the straw that actually broke the camel's back, and quite rightly, Gabrielle, she escaped. She went to the police, and after being seen to a real doctor, the police arrived and the cult was shut down. Now, Thériault was jailed for 12 years for abuse, and
12 years.
A lot of abuse, but they didn't know about what had gone on. So this was the first investigation. The second investigation on him, when he was still in jail, he was sentenced to life for the murder of Solange Ballard.
So bloody should.
Yes, but this story does have a happy ending, because in 2011, his cellmate walked up to the guards with a bloody knife and explained, that piece of shit is down on the range, here's a knife, I've sliced him up.
Nice!
So he was murdered.
Win for that guy!
He was murdered in prison just because he was a prick. Not just because, but he still believed all his shit when he was in prison.
The fact that a prison inmate knocked him off was pretty much says it all, really. If you're the scum of the earth by the inmates, that's saying something.
Exactly.
That guy should have got years taken off his sentence.
Exactly, he should have just been given the keys to the fucking city. Like, fucking off you go, son.
Yep.
But yeah, he wasn't a prophet. He was just a piece of human shit. And
for real.
He bled like everyone else. And again, I kind of get the brainwashing that they all went through, but
very Charles Manson.
Yeah, and thankfully Gabrielle got out and she raised the alarm, but there was so many people that could have done so much stuff before this. They was living in rural communities. He kept everyone on a short lead, but they were intervened by the police twice. The children were taken away twice. Surely they should have not stepped in and gone, why are all these children this injured? Why have they got all this?
I guess back in those days, social services was probably a different kettle of fish, wasn't it? But at the same time, I've got to think, all those kids probably had a horrible... I mean, they would have had a worse upbringing, but they still probably had a horrible upbringing, being bounced from foster home to foster home to foster home. They probably grew up proper fucking traumatized, and they probably had the lives from hell as well. So, he probably ruined the lives of kids that he barely even had anything to do with. The people they grew up to be probably had horrible PTSD and all that kind of shit just because of him.
Exactly.
I hope the guy that shivved him then cut his skull open and wanked into his skull.
Jizzed in it.
Just to see if he came back to life, yeah. So
And then kill him
if he
again.
came back to life, kill him again. Yeah. I hope he tried that, yeah. Definitely. And I hope the prison guards were like...
Indeed. I hope they just went, right, we'll give it 10 minutes just so he bleeds out. Like, we won't go down 100%. There for a while. Have you got a cut?
An absolute piece of shit.
I've got a boo-boo on my finger. Oh, we'll plaster that up for you, son. We'll take care of you first, then we'll go down and look at Roch. Hopefully he'll be dead by then.
Yeah. Or they're like, what's that? Is it... I'll make that Starbucks time, bro.
Yeah, that's my break. I'm on break. I'll see you in a minute.
Frappuccino.
Yeah. Barry, you deal with this. I'm just
They'll
going
be fine. Yeah. Nothing's even happening. They're all like asleep or whatever. Nothing's even happening. They'll be fine. And you come back and you're like, oh, what are you saying, dude? Someone's dead? Did you say dead or red? I can't quite hear you. Dead,
what are them gurgling noises that I can hear?
Oh. No, red. Bread. Someone wants bread? Someone wants to be read too. Bedtime. We don't do a bedtime story service. No, I'm sorry. I'm not quite hearing you for like 20 minutes before they go. Oh, dead. Oh, somebody's dead. Right. Hold on. I'll just I'll ring the local police and see if they can maybe put me through to 911. Even when 911, they might be busy.
Even when they open the door and they're like, oh, someone's been painting red everywhere. Oh, it's all over the floor. They must have dropped a red can of paint down here.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's one hell of a paper cut, but they'll be fine. Paper cuts, honestly, they bleed for days. Honestly, you just can't rate them, honestly. They go for days. I mean, oh, look. He's so knackered. He's worked so hard in the laundry today. He's passed out on the floor, fast asleep. Bless him. We should probably let him just...
Oh, he's had a busy day.
Let's just...
He's tie-dyeing his sheets. Look at that. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, so that is the truly horrible story of the Anthill kids and Roch Thériault, who was a human pile of burning garbage.
If I'd have been the prison warden, I probably would have found some way to illegally introduce him to scaphism.
Yeah.
I think that's what he deserved. He deserved scaphism.
Yeah.
It's just apparently the most painful way to die.
Yeah.
I thought being hung, drawn, and quartered was the most painful way to die, but apparently it's scaphism, so I'm going with that. I think he should have died by scaphism.
Which one's that? Is that the one where they lock you in a box?
And then let all the insects eat you alive for like days. Yeah. You're eaten alive slowly for days.
And you have to poo in the box and eat the feces and then crawl up your bum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're potentially days dying. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. I'm thinking for this guy, yeah. Because being hung, drawn, and quartered I think it's too quick for him. So I'm thinking scaphism,
yeah. On that bombshell, this has been the MO Podcast Dark with me, Contumacious Ant.
And me, Atreya.
Thank you all so much for joining us, and I really hope you'll join us next time, although I kind of understand if you don't.
I might not be here next time. Just saying.
Exactly. I mean, this may be a limited series, because it's rank. But yeah, thank you all, and we shall see you next time, hopefully. But bye.